Although I understand that this is new ground for Cochise County, the results have been far from acceptable. And it does not build confidence in Cochise County leadership. Mr. Hanson, the information and the advice that your office has given to both the board and the community has been inconsistent, confusing, and contradictory. Mr. Ortega, the board staff has also made its fair share of errors. Both the special district staff and board staff were present at the March meeting. They heard the discussion that we had, and either they didn't correct us at the time, or they failed to follow through with the wishes of this board. I also have to apologize to the community of Sunsites. Whether it's my job or whether it's my duty, whether it's appropriate or not, there should have been more oversight as to how this was done. And people could say, well, you were influencing one way or the other. However, ultimately, as a representative of this community, I feel it's part of my responsibility. I'm also embarrassed and frustrated how the community of Sunsites has handled this issue. If there's any community in this county that I can call home, it's Sunsites. Here's Sunsites. I grew up there. I went to school there. My family lives there. I've played there. I've worked there. And I've done everything I can to promote this community and make it a better place to live. I can understand and respect those who really don't care if there's green space, ponds, and trees in the community. I can understand not wanting to pay additional taxes. I can respect that, and I agree to that. I do not understand the allegations of greed, ignorance, or corruption that has been spread for the last 6 or 7 months. I was at the community meeting in Sunsites Pierce 3 years ago. In the Pierce Gymnasium, there were probably over 400 people from that community turned out. They showed their support to donate funds and to volunteer to keep that golf course going when the property owners walked away from the out-of-town developer property owners that just walked away and said, we're not paying another dime to keep this thing going. Some of you that are opposing this today were at that meeting. I did not hear one of you say, it's not worth it. We don't want it. Or we're not going to support something that only golfers are going to use. At that meeting, there was a consensus. It was unanimous that the green space in Sunsites made it unique and was special, and they wanted to preserve it. The truth is, whether you're a golfer or not, the golf course is what makes Sunsites different from any other rural community in this county. Sunsites was built by Horizon Corporation for a middle-class retirement golf community. The golf course has been part of the community from its inception in the early 1960s until today. Until the developer, golf course owners walked away from the community in 2008, the residents have benefited from the green space at no direct cost to them. There are several things that Verizon Corporation did that I do not agree with. And one of the biggest failures was not to set up some permanent way of maintaining this golf course. A park maintenance district is probably the most equitable way for the Sunsites to continue to enjoy what they have, this unique asset that they've had for the last 50 years. I'll be the first one to agree that the ownership issue of the golf course is a concern, and that this whole park maintenance district proposal would be a whole lot cleaner and less confusing if the long-term ownership of this was resolved, or even known. We also know that the current owners of the property, whoever they may be, cannot, will not, and have not spent a dime on the property since they walked away in 2008. The community has kept the golf course alive for the last 3 years through the donations of volunteer labor and the long-term success of any community effort, whether it's a fire department or a park that is solely dependent on volunteers and donations, will either die or have to evolve into some other type of organization. We have seen many volunteer fire departments throughout the county move to a fire district just because volunteers get tired and donations drop off. We are seeing the same thing with the Sunsites Golf Course, the Sunsites Golf Course. The volunteers are getting tired, they're dropping off, and donations are drying up. The organizing board of the proposed district have the same dilemma that the J6 and the Searle Fire Department had several years ago. They either quit or they form a district to get additional funding. If you want to see what happens to a community park that's run on volunteers, go to Boone. They have a small park that was started 50, 60 years ago with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of hard work. Built structures. You go by there now, the structures are falling apart and it's full of weeds. Every couple of years, the community gets together, the Chamber of Commerce gets together, and they'll go and clean it up. And they'll go for a little bit more. I wrote some notes down. I've been thinking about this for quite a while, and I'm trying to keep on track, so bear with me. Because of the restrictions that are going to be put on a park district, they cannot use the money to bail out the current property owners. Those that argue that the formation of this district will be another government bailout and will only benefit the golf course owners are not only being misleading, but they're being disingenuous. The only benefit that the owners of the golf course receive from the formation of this district is that the trees will stay alive, and the grass will stay green, and the ponds will have water. It can be argued that since the property owners are not willing to spend the funds to maintain the golf course, they really don't care one way or the other whether this district is formed. The reason for the formation of the district is for the sole benefit of the community, not the owners of the course. If the owners receive 1 penny of the public funds that the district board, if they receive 1 penny of these public funds, the organizing board has failed and should be held accountable for. As a board, we have a no-win decision to make this morning. And you already mentioned it. Both sides have attorneys. Both feel they have grounds to sue. If the county doesn't go either way. So we're looking at a lawsuit either way we do it, Mr. Jackson. I'm not going to try to persuade either one of you as to how to vote on this. I do know what's going to happen if the district is not formed. The organizing board, the LLC that's taking care, they're going to quit. And the water is going to get turned off, and the park is not going to be maintained, or the golf course is not going to be maintained. I don't know what's going to happen in the future as to the ownership. It could sell tomorrow, as Mr. Hanson said. It could be 2 years, it could be 5 years, it could be never, who knows? There is no guarantees that someone will buy the golf course tomorrow or ever. And if they do buy it, there's no guarantee that they'll maintain it or do anything with it. For those reasons, I will have to support the formation of this district. With that said, I do have some comments for the organizing board. You need to listen to the community. Sunsites does not need an 18-hole golf course. 9 holes on the south side of Ironwood would preserve the community, preserve the green space, and preserve the trees. That ground on the north side of Ironwood, there's no need to maintain it. Shrink the golf course to 9 holes. Also, if you are lucky enough today to get this approved, you better keep the public funds segregated and separate from everything else so you can prove that this money is going for maintenance only. And with that,